Hey, Aaron, welcome to the podcast. It's great to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Same here. So the first thing I kind of ask all my guests is just to give us context to my audience in terms of, where do you come from in terms of your story and what you're doing today? Give us a snapshot.
Yeah, so my quick kind of overview is, my name's Aaron Golub. I'm legally blind, became the first legally blind Division I athlete to play in a game when I played football at Tulane University, went on to become a team captain and then an NFL free agent, and now I'm an entrepreneur and a speaker.
That's a very quick snapshot, but it says it's packed with a lot of things. So let's kind of dive deeper into some of these. So first of all, I'm just curious. So from what I understand from listening to your talks and kind of hearing your story in more depth, so it was something that you've had growing up as a kid, correct? So it's not something that happened later on. It was something that.
Yep, I was born with no vision in my right eye and very limited in my left.
And so as a kid, I mean, I'm sure it was just difficult to kind of deal with different adversities in general, right? I mean, for me, for example, middle school was horrible in general. Middle school, high school, I had a horrible experience. And I feel like a lot of teenagers go through that. And it's the time that you feel most vulnerable and most kind of wanting to hide in your shell, which I think so many people do, myself included. But you, on the other hand, you said, okay, this is, I'm just going to take the whole different route. And you really went into that athleticism and sports. So was there, and what I'm curious to know, was there an environment that kind of nurtured that? Were you always like that? Were you always had that like go get a mindset, like nothing will stop you type thing? Or did it come later through kind of trials and errors?
So yes and no. And, growing up, my parents did a really great job of challenging me in certain ways to help, build that resilience. And they didn't know that they were doing it at the time, but they understood that I was different. They understood that things would take me longer. And so even if it was something as simple as trying to tie my shoes, it might take me longer in the beginning than other kids. They would rather watch me struggle with it for 15 minutes and then help me than watch me struggle for 30 seconds and then do it for me. Because they knew that I need to figure out how to do it for myself and learn and understand what I had to do to, live a normal life. And so that I think was really ingrained in me at an early age. Yes, I struggled in a lot of areas growing up. I wasn't the most confident. I wasn't the most athletic. I was picked last for every sport under the sun and never found the right fit. And then I think I really developed that confidence and stepped into who I am, with football. In the beginning of football, when I started in seventh grade, I wasn't very good. I wasn't a good athlete. I wasn't a good football player. I wasn't strong, fast, good in any way. But over time, and we'll get into this later, my sophomore year is when I kind of found the right position. And from there, I, became a very good athlete, a very good football player. And that allowed me to grow my confidence and grow who I was.
Mm-hmm. And why football out of all the sports?
I tried basically every sport under the sun: baseball, basketball, lacrosse, soccer. Nothing was a good fit for me individually. There's other things I did. I skateboarded when I was a kid. I snowboarded. I still snowboard. But, I wanted to play a team sport. And nothing else was really a good fit. And so I knew that I couldn't be a quarterback. I couldn't be a wide receiver. But I figured, okay, maybe I can be an offensive and defensive lineman, don't have to catch the ball downfield. And so did that at first for the first couple of years and didn't really play a ton, even though it was like a fine position for me. I just wasn't that big or strong or athletic at the time. And so that's where my focus was. And eventually I switched positions, but I think it was finding the right fit in the beginning. I figured, okay, maybe I can do this. I might not be a star, but at least I can play. Whereas when I was a kid trying to play baseball, like, yeah, that worked in Little League for a time, but eventually I got to the point where like, I can't hit a baseball coming at me. Like that's not going to work. So I just had to find the right sport for me.
Yeah. Hey, you, thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this episode, make sure to share it with friends and family who might find it interesting. Make sure to hit the subscribe button as well to stay up to date on weekly new videos that are going to be coming out with some awesome guests that I bring on. And if you have any questions, use the comment section to ask me questions, to interact. I look forward to talking to you. Yeah, and the reason I'm asked is just because there are quite a few things. I'm always curious, how do people find that like one thing and then work towards that? So it's nice to hear that. You could have had, you could have gone a completely different way, right? And you could have kind of accepted this, you could have just given up on yourself essentially. And we see this, and we see this, we see everyday people do it with, I don't want to say harsh, but people with more advantages give up faster and easier, right? So what do you think it is when it comes to us as human beings? Like, what is it that some people have that resilience? Do you feel like it's the nurture aspect of it, where you have to have the right support network around, the right environment? Do you think it's the mindset, the individual mindset? Like, what is it? So people who are facing disadvantages today, and kind of, what would you tell them in terms of like, this is the route you can take, or this one? How would you recommend taking the route that actually turns the, as you say in your TEDx talk, turns that diamond, taking a diamond from a disadvantage?
No, so I think there's two answers there, and two parts to that question that I want to touch on. First off, I think when you're focusing on your disadvantages, when you're focusing on them, when you have disadvantages, and everyone has them, the biggest thing you need to focus on is gratitude. And so what are you grateful for, and why are you grateful for it? I am so thankful and so grateful and so blessed I was born legally blind, because it's allowed me to do amazing things, meet incredible people, have outstanding experiences, and I wouldn't be the person I am today if I wasn't legally blind. Now, when you can find that gratitude, that silver lining, that blessing in what you otherwise thought was adversity or a challenge, your life just shifts. Your life becomes so much better. The other side of that is, I don't think that resilience is something that you have to be born with. I think that resilience can be taught, it can be learned, it can be chosen. I think that the way we are nurtured as kids, the way we are brought up, there are things that are wired into our brains from when we're 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. And that's not our fault at all. That's our upbringing, a combination of who we are then, our parents, our relatives, or who the people were around. That's just what we're taught as kids, and that shapes who we are as adults. But at the same time, your past does not indicate your future. You see it all the time when someone makes a completely shift in their life, whether it be they're overweight by 150 pounds, and they start getting on a healthy diet and going to the gym every day, and they lose 100, 150 pounds, and they become in incredible shape. You see someone who maybe was homeless, and they turned their life completely around, and got a stable job, created wealth for themselves, made a family. I think that you can choose resilience, and you can choose success for yourself despite your circumstances, and your circumstances don't define who you are. You define what your circumstances are, but you have to make that active choice and fight for it each and every day.
Yeah, so it's a choice. I feel like what my takeaway from this is just like, it sounds like just a choice we have to consciously make, and then just work on that continuously, and remind yourself that there are other kind of options. What you talk quite a bit about in your talks as well is this notion that, of course, naturally as people, we care about what other people think of us, whether we like to admit it or not, right? And sometimes it's not beneficial, and sometimes people will influence us in their societal expectations and community expectations, and etc., that are not always helpful. So, and I know you're big on that in terms of just focusing on what is it that you think about and you want to accomplish, versus having that external negative voice. So what helps you manage that? Like, how do you, especially on like a bad day, how do you talk yourself into like continuing to be like, what, I'm going to keep going? Because it's hard.
No, this is a great topic. And honestly, this is something that, like, for example, Gary Vee talks about a lot, is not worrying about other people's opinions. But, the premise here is, let's just take the example of going to the gym, because that's a really good example for this one also. Everyone thinks that you go to the gym and everyone around you is watching you on the treadmill or lifting weights or whatever, and judging you for being in shape or not being in shape or what you're doing. And I guarantee you, people look at you for maybe 2 seconds, turn their head away, and forget about who you are and what you do. They have no recollection, because they're so focused on themselves, their problems, their issues, what's going on in their life. And you can take that same premise and apply it into your life. When you are doing something in business, why do you care about the judgments, the criticisms of other people? Yes, there are certain people I care about getting their opinions of. If someone more successful than me in a certain area gives me advice or gives me their opinion, I'm going to listen. But I think I'm very selective of who I take that judgment from. And I think the best way to think about it is, if you're not willing to take advice from that person, why would you take criticism from them? And so, if I'm not willing to take advice from you for some reason, like, I genuinely don't care what you think. good or bad. That doesn't mean that your opinion isn't valid or matter. What it means is like, I'm just not going to take that into consideration. If you're judging me, if you're thinking poorly of me, it does not affect me. I don't care. I wish you the best. I wish you nothing but gratitude for you, but it just doesn't affect me.
That's such a good point. If you don't take advice from somebody, why would you take criticism? And it's so true, because we often take criticism from people that we wouldn't ever take advice from. And I think, yeah, it's just a mindset thing. I mean, you have to like overcome that and continue to remind yourself, I guess, on the daily, like, listen, this is, finding a kind of filter through all the noise that's out there. So you also talk quite a bit about hard work, and I think it's such an important topic. And it's like one of my kind of challenges I have. I'm in talent development, so and I don't know, maybe people will criticize me for this, but we don't care. In terms of, I feel that many people just not willing to work hard, and that's kind of that's my assumption. I see that a lot of people are kind of just expecting to go with the flow and things to come to them, and whether they have disadvantages or advantages going their way. But what do you think about hard work, particularly when it comes to like getting to where you want in life?
I mean, I think there's a lot of opinions on this these days. I mean, to start, if you don't work hard, you would never work for me. Let's put it that way. I would never hire someone who doesn't work hard. That's not my, I don't want that around me, because I think it limits growth. If you truly want to be successful, you need to work hard and you need to work smart. And there's a combination of the two, because I think working smart is really important in the beginning. But the people who are at the top 1% of people, I guarantee you, they are outworking everyone around them. And they are the hardest workers in the room each and every day. And so I want to surround myself with people who, do work hard. I think, I get the whole premise of, don't work hard, enjoy life. I enjoy life. I love every single second of every single thing that I do, because I'm doing exactly what I want out of life. I couldn't wake up and have a better life. Yes, I'm nowhere near where I want to be success-wise. I have a lot more to do. Yes, I've accomplished some things, but I have a lot more to accomplish. But I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the path, but I'm also willing to work really hard. And so one example there, I was talking to someone the other day, and the topic came up of how I went into the world of entrepreneurship. And out of college, I went to wealth management. I was a financial advisor. I started a business as a speaker. And then eventually that led to what I'm doing today in other businesses and entrepreneurship and speaking. And we were talking with someone, and this person asked me, he was like, do you think, I'm just going to say the name, Jack as an example. It's not, the person's name is not Jack. But they're like, do you think that Jack will, put in the time and effort needed for that idea or that company to get to where it needs to go? And the question comes down to, what I did to get out of the world of finance. I worked probably 16-hour days for 2.5 years, because I was working from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every single day on a combination of finance and speaking to build my speaking business, to then eventually exit finance and build other businesses around speaking and what it would lead to in entrepreneurship. And that's what hard work is to me. I think that if people want to build something that they truly enjoy, and I'm not saying you need to be an entrepreneur, it's not for most people, but I think most people have lost what hard work truly is. And I think a lot of that happened because of the pandemic, when you could work at home and watch TV and sit on your couch and things like that. And there's a lot of factors there, but I think most people don't understand what true hard work is.
I wonder if it's also around. I mean, so the other side of the coins, I'm with you. I think that a lot of times we just kind of forget what is truly hard work, because I think it's also subjective. So some people, you know what I mean? Like productivity is subjective. Like there's people that can sit and do a task in 2 hours. Somebody else is going to take them 6 hours, but both could be working hard. Somebody else also, I was talking to somebody else about this, and they mentioned that they believe people don't work hard because they haven't found that passion and because they don't care about the work that they're doing. And I'm like, well, the only way to find that passion, you don't just magically find it. It's through hard work, through putting in those hours. That's how you get to that kind of, right? So what do you think?
So I think on both of those, first to touch on the first one, before the passion. When you talked about hard work being subjective, so like, yes, certain tasks that take me 2 hours might take someone else 6 hours. Certain tasks that take me 6 hours might take someone else 2 hours. But guess what? There's always more things to do. Whether you're building your own business, I guarantee you there's always something you can be doing. Whether you're in the corporate world, I guarantee you can always find something else to help get ahead, get your name out there, and build your resume so you can hopefully get promoted. And so if you finish the task in 2 hours, go do something else to get better. Like, that doesn't mean that you need to be done. That means that gives you another opportunity to learn, to grow, and to get better. Now, when it comes to the whole passion thing, I do agree to an extent. I think that when people are truly passionate and enjoy what they're doing, they're able to work harder. So like, I did fine in school. I never loved school. I wasn't passionate about school. It was boring to me. I enjoyed school because of football, and it made me who I was, or who I am today. But I didn't enjoy the schoolwork. And so because of that, I did okay. I never did amazing, but I did fine. And I definitely didn't work as hard as I could have there. But on the flip side, I worked extremely hard when it came to football and other stuff at the same time. And I think that you have to work hard to find what you want in life, to find what you need to get there. But I also do agree that, like, once you find something you love, you are going to work 1,000 times harder at that, because it's not like work to you.
Yeah, and I agree with the notion that you mentioned earlier as well, that it doesn't mean that you don't enjoy your personal life and your free time and like other things, right? And I think that's another misconception. I kind of blame the media for that, because there's a lot of talk about burnout, and there's a lot of talk about the hustle culture and all that. But the reality is, like, it's about energy management. And to your point, you have to put in the hours, and you have to work harder than others, because it's a very competitive world. It doesn't mean that you have to burn yourself out, but finding that balance, just finding that little bit of balance. And sometimes that means working really hard and prioritizing work for like weeks at a time, maybe. Sometimes it's that. And then taking yourself a little bit of time to spend with family, which is, again, I think another part of this is having the support network that understands what you're trying to accomplish, right? And so again, I feel like the media has made this hard work as this big bad beast, and everybody's working too hard. But frankly speaking, I think a lot of people, it promotes a very negative aspect, right? And I think that, and now we have the quiet quitting, which is a whole other topic, where people just kind of pushing. No, but it's like, at the end of the day, like, you want to get to a certain level, it just requires that, on your own study, on your own learning, post working hours, maybe some weekends. But again, doesn't mean to get to burnout. It just means to find time to manage your energy as well.
Yes, but I agree. And I think that anyone can do a task for a certain amount of time, though, if they're working towards something else. And so, like, I vividly remember when I was in finance, I was, still building a speaking business on the side, but I had to study for certain exams that I had to take in the financial industry. And I was never a good test taker. I didn't enjoy it. So I would get to work, not kidding, I would get to work every single day at like 6 a.m. And I would study from like 6 to 8:30 in the morning, so I could, pass the exam, because I was terrible at exams. And I would work from 8:30 to 6:30 or whatever. And then I'd go home and I'd work out. I'd work on building a business as a speaker. And that was hard work for me. That was miserable. That was a terrible time in my life. It was not fun by any means, but it was what was necessary at that time to move me forward to what I wanted to build for myself. And I think that's too many people aren't willing to embrace the suck for a certain amount of time to get to where they want to go. Everyone wants to make millions of dollars. Everyone wants to own a successful business. Everyone wants to have an amazing, happy relationship, but they're not willing to put in the work to get there.
Yeah, well said. So the follow-up question there is, how do you manage that energy of yours? You stay pretty busy these days. Do you have specific habits or routines that you follow?
Yes and no. I think that there's a lot of talk in the world, especially in like entrepreneurship, of morning routines, for example. And like, yes, I have certain things that I do in the morning, but I think the people who say, wake up, journal, read, meditate, go to the gym, say 15 affirmations, whatever, do 5,000 things and it's 10 o'clock. Like, that's the absolute most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because everyone is different. Like, yes, you can do some of those. I do some of those. I go to the gym in the morning. I, think about things I'm grateful for. I get ready for the day. And then, later on the day, I'll meditate and I'll do things like that. But I think that everyone needs to find routines that are good for them and not follow the routines that these like so-called gurus say that you should be doing. It's about what is a good fit for you. Like, yeah, when it comes to work, like I try and focus my work sessions between like 60 and 90 minutes. And then I take a quick break. It doesn't need to be, it's not going to be an hour break, but it could be anywhere from 5 minutes to 25 minutes of a break to either go on a walk or grab something to eat or have some water or whatever, to recharge my mind. Because I know that most people, and it's proven that we work best in blocks of like 90 minutes. And if you try and work for 3 hours straight, you're going to get burnt out. It's a scientific fact. And so if you instead work for 75 minutes, work for 90 minutes, take a 20-minute break and get back to work, you're going to be much more efficient.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I used to write for a magazine. I remember even the editor, not to mention the name of the magazine, but the editor is like, what really works, what really gets the clicks is when you say like 5 steps to, 3 steps to, and this is what we hear a lot of, like, and after that, it was such a lesson to me. I was like, that is what, and I started to read college completely different, because that's what's clickable. People want this magic formula that says 5 steps to be more productive, 3 steps to lose weight, and everybody looks for this cheat sheet, this magic pill that just doesn't exist. And to your point, very much agree. I do some of these things as well, but I have my days that I don't do them and I'm just as productive, and my day is going just as well. Without the journaling, without all the other things. It helps on some days, but it's so valid point. I'm glad you
I mean, for anyone listening, you want the one step to make your life better, it's take action right now. That's the only step. Take action right now and you'll have a better life.
I agree. That's a good one. That's a no. Can't say anything against that one. So Aaron, what are some things you're excited about that are coming up for you in the coming months?
Yeah. So, right now I'm in the process of growing my company, Initiate Connections. And what we do is, speaking engagements, workshops, and consulting with, organizations and teams to, help increase performance through motivation. And within those, our core topics, our core focuses are overcoming adversity, leadership development, diversity and inclusion, and peak performance and business growth to really help, inspire and motivate, organizations to perform at their best, and to help the members and employees and teams within them to reach their full potential. And it's really just a branch off of what I've done with speaking engagements and continuing to grow that through workshops and seminars and consulting, and really continue that to hit deeper levels with the organizations that we work with.
And if people want to learn more about that and some things you're doing, maybe they want to reach out to you or read anything that you're kind of putting out there, your talks, where is the best way to get in touch with you?
That company website is initiateconnections.com. Follow me on social media at Aaron J. Golub for Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, just Aaron Golub. And if you want to reach out, always happy to chat. My email is aaron@aarongolub.com. I'll respond to every message that I get. Might not be in the next 20 minutes, but I will respond.
And I'm going to make sure to share it in the podcast notes. Aaron, thank you so much for sharing some of your insights and kind of the challenges that you overcame. And it was quite interesting to see, and just, I think, inspiring for the audience. And I hope that they, if anything, they got away from this is to take action today. One the biggest takeaway: take action today, and whatever obstacle you think you might have, and just move right past that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.